Part 120. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1191. Chapter 1191 Modification of Dance Clothes. We are strangers and we meet by chance, so why should we be tied together and entangled for the rest of our lives? Wei Lingnan, you must know other ways to treat rejection, right? Tell me and I will give you a lot of benefits. What's the benefit? He remained calm. Xia Yingluo said, wealth, glory, status. You can have anything you want. You just need to wait for me for 1 year. I will definitely cash it in for you after 1 year. When she returns to the family, what does she want? Wei Lingnan narrowed his eyes and looked at her. It seemed that the girl was so well protected that she didn't even know who he was. Her parents and uncle knew a lot about him, but they didn't reveal any of it to her. Was it because they hadn't noticed anything strange about her since she was a child, or haven't you ever been lucky enough to think that she wouldn't be the one he's looking for? What a pity, she is that person. He traveled through hundreds of millions of years, traveled long light years, and came from countless places outside the Milky Way without fear of hardships and dangers, just to one day bring his beloved girl back to life and see her smile again. This time, he will never let her go. Wealth, power, fame, and fortune are meaningless to me, he said indifferently, I only want you, Xia Yingluo. Xia Yingluo is simply crazy. Even if she is beautiful and loved by everyone, she will not attract such a lunatic. She must have not read the almanac when she entered the casino that day. It's not sweet to be strong, she suppressed her irritability and reasoned with him, because she had no other way to deal with him except to reason. Even if you want me, you still want me to be fond of you. Right? Otherwise, if I'm not happy together, you probably won't be either, right? If you tell me other ways to treat rejection, I might feel a little better about you. A little bit. Okay, some, many good feelings. Are you satisfied? She already wanted to kill this pushy bastard. Wei Lingnan admired her irritable appearance. 1 week. She was stunned. What week? Go on a date with me once a week from now on, and I'll give you other methods to treat rejection. There is really another way. Xia Yingluo was pleasantly surprised and agreed hurriedly, okay. She also made a bitter note to him in her heart. Is there any other way to take advantage of her for so long? He is indeed a shameless person. That night in the casino and the violation in the back mountain were still fresh in her mind. She just had to endure it for 1 more year, she would definitely come back with a ruthless revenge. Wei Lingnan didn't know whether he noticed her worries or not, so he just said, go to Shanglin Nanyuan to find me in 1 week. She responded, then suddenly thought of something, and said warily, first of all, let's say that you are not allowed to take advantage of me, you are not allowed to kiss me, and you are not allowed to treat me like you did before. He looked down at her, like a large ferocious beast sizing up a small animal with teeth and claws. The sight made her feel scared, but she still stubbornly straightened her back and met his gaze without hesitation. He stared at her for a long time, then turned and walked away. She was stunned and shouted, hey! Hey dash, he hadn't said whether he would answer her or not. How could this person be like this? He returned to the dormitory dejectedly. Jin Linger jumped up from the bed, Yingluo, where have you been? Zuzu just gave you a dance dress, saying that it was to be worn at Pei Yan's engagement party. What the hell, they must have chosen it? The rest is for you. Look at it, it's so ugly. Xia Yingluo took the dance costume and unfolded it. She found that it was really ugly. To put it nicely, the dance clothes are white gradually turning into silver gray. To put it badly, they are very dusty and dirty. They are obviously new dance clothes, but it is their fault that they can create such an effect like an old pickle that has been worn for 10 years. Ability. There were a few transparent glass beads dotted around the corners, which looked extremely cheap, no different from the 5-cent ornaments on the street stalls. They did it on purpose, Xia Yingluo said. Jin Linger was very sad that Zuzu said that the levels of the group dances have been arranged. For the overall effect of the performance, you cannot change the dance clothes without authorization. Otherwise, if there is any incoordination and screw up, all the responsibilities will be yours. People, although it was clear that someone was making things difficult for Xia Yingluo this time, the engagement banquet was attended by big names. The Pei family is a well-known family in the entertainment industry. There must be many celebrity directors, producers, and big stars present, and all of them have poisonous eyes. Now, as long as Xia Yingluo dares to destroy the overall effect of the stage, they can leave an impression on her as unorganized, undisciplined, and disobedient to arrangements. No matter how beautiful her personal appearance is, she will be blacklisted. Xia Yingluo is not too worried. I have a way. She didn't care if she would be blacklisted by the director and producer. Originally, she was just dawdling in the training camp. After 2 years of dawdling, she left smoothly and returned to the Li family headquarters to live a comfortable life, eating and waiting to die. Days go. At the moment, the only thing she cares about is whether she can make a wonderful appearance and slap the faces of the annoying couple, Zhang Bilian, and others. Let's go change clothes. She pulled the golden bell and left the dormitory. Zhang Bilian and the others are very shady. Tomorrow is the engagement party, so they only sent her dance clothes this afternoon, probably because they were afraid that she would do something reckless. To make a dance outfit look beautiful, from scheduling to design to shipping, how can it be completed overnight? Especially for those tailor shops that are well known and have good craftsmanship, their schedules have been scheduled for several months. Even if they are urgently needed, it will take at least 2 or 3 days, which is simply too late. They just calculated that she would have to wear this dusty dance costume tomorrow and be an unappreciated clown. But how could it be difficult to defeat Xia Yingluo? She and Jin Linger took a taxi to the city's famous fabric market, where there were many small tailor shops that could alter people's trousers and make some simple clothes. She found a shop where the business was deserted, and she threw the dance clothes in her hand on the counter. "Master, I want to modify this dance clothes, make a big change." The old master raised his head and glanced at Wei, and was startled. "Little girl, I can't do this job. I only do simple jobs like shortening pants and zipping coats. You're like this, it's a costume for a performance, right? I've never changed it." "It's very simple." Xia Yingluo smiled and put a stack of cash in front of the master. "I'll tell you how to change it. Just follow my instructions and remove the stitches and recut them. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. Blame you." The old master's eyes lit up when he saw the stack of cash on the table. It was at least several thousand yuan, right? Hearing this little girl say that she didn't blame him even if she made mistakes, she couldn't help but feel moved and said, "Okay, then I'll give it a try." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1192. Chapter 1192. The Fragrance in the Mist. Xia Yingluo smiled slightly and guided him step by step. "Remove the stitches here, tuck them in here, replace the white glass beads here with red crystals, cut off 4 centimeters here." There was no need for the tailor to worry about it, he guided him step by step. Once it's in place, the tailor just needs to stick to it. The old tailor had no idea what the overall effect of the dance costume would look like, but he dismantled and sewed it up very obediently. His basic skills were solid, and the stitches were fine, smooth, and perfectly fitting. Jin Linger was not idle either, busy purchasing small accessories such as crystal beads for her, and replacing all the cheap glass. A few people worked all night, and when it was almost dawn, the dance costume was finally changed. The originally cumbersome skirt and sleeves have been shortened, making them as light as the wind. The waistline is raised, the back is hollow, and a thin tie is wrapped around it, giving it a dangerous temptation. She put on her dance clothes and looked like a silver gray elf walking out of the morning light. She was so elegant and slender, and her straight back and looming butterfly bones were simply alluring. "It's so beautiful." Jin Linger was stunned. Xia Yingluo smiled slightly and stood in front of the floor-length mirror, adjusting her appearance. Her fashion sense has been influenced by masters since she was a child, and she has a picky mother, so she is very good. Her altered dance clothes are no less than those made by famous masters. The originally dirty gray-white gradient color was suddenly worn by her in an elegant style, and the red crystals carefully embellished on the ends of the hair on her wrists added a bit of charm. "Fairy," Jin Linger said. Xia Yingluo smiled brightly and raised her delicate chin arrogantly. "Humph, look at me, sister, I'm killing everyone." Thanks to the tailor, she and Jin Linger did not rush back to the dormitory, but checked into a suite in a nearby hotel. After not sleeping all night, she threw herself on the soft big bed to catch up on her sleep, and soon fell asleep. Maybe she was too tired, and her dreams were chaotic. She didn't know what she was dreaming about. She only vaguely remembered that she was very uneasy, and there were large areas of fog in her dreams. It seemed that there was something else hidden in the fog, peering at her. What is it? She tried hard to open her eyes wide, trying to see clearly. The scent of scatena flowers came from the mist, and a pair of eyes. Amber inorganic, monster eyes. She woke up with a scream of awe, her heart beating like a drum, and her whole body was soaked in cold sweat. Jin Linger rushed in from outside with a nervous look on her face. "Yingluo, what's wrong with you?" She panted for a long time, and even though it was midsummer, she felt cold all over. Finally, she managed to calm down and said intermittently, "Monster, I dreamed of a monster, standing beside the bed, looking down at me." Jin Linger breathed a sigh of relief. "What do I think it is? Isn't it just a monster? My little friend, how old are you, and you are still scared by dreams like this?" As she said that, she stretched out her hand to rub her long hair. "Hair?" Xia Yingluo smiled bitterly. "You don't understand. If it was an ordinary nightmare, she certainly wouldn't be frightened like this, but this dream about the fog has troubled her since she was a child. This was the first time she smelled the fragrance of flowers and saw the eyes of monsters in her dream. Those cold, amber, mirror-like eyes. It's like Wei Lingnan. Could all this have something to do with Wei Lingnan? Ever since he appeared in her life, everything seemed to have changed. Where did this monster come from in this world? Jin Linger said carelessly. "Even if there is one, sister will help you beat it to death." Xia Yingluo smiled bitterly again. Jin Linger had never seen Wei Lingnan's abnormal and terrifying healing power, nor her rejection reaction that could not be explained by science, so she could say such words easily. Perhaps Wei Lingnan is a monster. She was suddenly startled by her own thoughts. After absent-mindedly coaxing Jin Linger away, Xia Yingluo climbed down from the soft bed, turned on the computer in the hotel, and began searching for a series of related information about monsters, superpowers, unnatural phenomena, etc. The results that came out made her dumbfounded. They were all deceptive fake news, or they were ET aliens who looked like Avatar. Wei Lingnan is not an alien, right? Bullshit. Xia Yingluo, who couldn't find any useful information, wailed and fell back on the bed. She fell asleep again for a while, not daring to sleep too deeply. This time she didn't dream about monsters. She only dreamed about the fragrance of flowers in the wind behind the mountain, and Wei Lingnan's soft and sweet kiss, which filled her heart. Messy, like a mess. Jin Linger told her that it was almost time for the engagement party. The two said goodbye, and Xia Yingluo took a car on the roadside and drove to the engagement party. She arrived soon. She took her performance pass and walked in through the back entrance exclusively for staff. Quickly finding the backstage, the leading teacher of the training camp and Jong Billion were almost crazy with anxiety, especially the leading teacher. When he saw her, he rushed towards her as if he were a relative. "My little ancestor. Why are you here now? All this has happened. What time is it? It's time to go on stage in 5 minutes. Jong Billion said coolly from the side, "Isn't it because of stage fright? It doesn't matter if you have stage fright alone, but you can't embarrass our training camp," Zuzu said dissatisfiedly. "Do you still have organizational discipline? I knocked on the door of your dormitory for a long time this morning, and found that you stayed up all night. It's time. You won't go to those shabby men again. It's useless even if you cry and beg for help. You are determined to win today's show." "Who says I don't want to go on stage?" Xia Yingluo smiled sweetly. Zuzu was horrified by her smile. Could this be planning another bad idea? The leading teacher pushed Xia Yingluo. "Go and change quickly. Where is your dance clothes? Hurry. It's too late." Xia Yingluo took off the thin coat she was wearing, revealing the exquisite and beautiful dance clothes she was wearing underneath. "I've changed it long ago." Even her makeup was done, and her long crow-green hair was carefully styled, matching with the dance clothes. "The beauty is breathtaking." The teacher who led the team was stunned. This girl made a stage appearance and turned out to be so beautiful. Jong Billion and Zuzu were also stunned, but what they were stunned about was, when did this change her dance clothes? "You are violating the rules," Jong Billion reacted first, looking at Xia Yingluo with a pair of eyes. "Have you changed the dance clothes without authorization? This will damage the entire dance formation. It will cause a big mess." "That's it," Zuzu also reacted and scolded. "It's just a small backup dancer, what are you talking about?" Originally, she gave Xia Yingluo the ugliest dance costume, but now that Xia Yingluo has changed the dance costume to be so beautiful, won't the ugliest person become her, Zuzu? Zuzu was really furious and almost going crazy. The next chapter will be released at 12 o'clock midnight, and 10 chapters will be released. Updates will be released one after another on the 10th and 11th, so look forward to it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1193. Chapter 1193. Xia Yingluo is the lead dancer. Xia Yingluo smiled brightly and looked at them calmly. "Why didn't you inform me when you ordered the dance clothes? I didn't even have time to communicate with the tailor, and the result was that they didn't fit me well and couldn't be worn at all. There was no way. I had to go to the tailor to change it all night, but the tailor fell asleep and cut several holes in the dance dress with the scissors, so I had to change it like this." "Open your eyes, you're talking nonsense. Everyone can tell that she is making up a lie. It's too false, isn't it? Do you dare to be more fake?" However, it is impossible to refute it, because every word she said is logically perfect. "You," Zuzu was so angry, "the dance clothes I sent you obviously fit you. Xia Yingluo has a petite figure, so she only needs to be in size S at most. She has no energy and has a fat waist. The sleeves are a little longer. This small problem does not affect the effect at all." Xia Yingluo said lightly, "You think it fits if it fits? I haven't tried it." Zuzu was so angry that she almost vomited blood. The leading teacher on the side frowned and said, "That's enough. Xia Yingluo, we'll settle the matter later for your lack of organization and discipline. Now go on stage and perform well. If you displease the nobles at the wedding banquet, I won't do it. Punish you." Xia Yingluo sneered, "Yes, I will perform well." The host at the front desk has started announcing the curtain. Seeing that it was already too late for Xia Yingluo to change clothes, Zhang Bilian took a deep breath and led the crowd onto the stage. The feet wearing silk satin dance shoes stepped on the wooden table. Xia Yingluo raised her head and faced the beams of lights on the stage. A slight feeling of heat brushed her face like a feather. Is this the stage? Mother Xiaoling loves the dreamlike realm of 2 lifetimes. She learned dance from her mother since she was a child, but it was just to keep fit. Her family did not want her to be in the public eye. Her mother Xiaoling once said, "There are enough public figures in our family. Your dad, me, and your eldest brother are all on the news all day and every night. Every move is watched by the world. It is inconvenient to go out for a walk. I think I want you to be safe and enjoy everything a little girl should have." She thinks so. When she was a child, she witnessed her mother being chased and intercepted by crazy fans several times. The scene was really terrifying. So she obeyed her family's arrangements with peace of mind and kept a low profile. She never appeared in the media or performed on stage, something that could easily draw attention to herself. This time, she made an exception. Fortunately, no one knew who she was. The music is beautiful and elegant, and it is a song by Lian Haohe that is suitable for the occasion. Zhang Bilian specially chose this song. The title of the song implies her character Lotus. She wants to become famous and be remembered by the big shots here, so that she can have an extra layer of insurance and a smooth success when she debuts in the future. Zuzu, Zhangqiang, and others are all her followers, so they naturally praise her. From the dance position to the dress, they do not overwhelm the others. They should be as simple and elegant as possible, making Zhang Bilian look like a hibiscus emerging from the water. It's a pity that what was originally a perfect scene was ruined by Xia Yingluo. In the middle of the dance floor, Zhang Bilian was straightening up in tune with the music. The emerald stones tied to her wrists and waist were shining brightly. Suddenly, she saw a girl who looked like an elf whirling in the slowly spreading dry ice smoke in an inconspicuous corner over there. Come dancing. Her waist is soft, her body is light, and there is a smile at the corner of her eyes and eyebrows. Under the interweaving lights, she looks like a small hibiscus in bud, and the red crystal between her wrists is clear and shiny. It's so beautiful. In just a moment, Zhang Bilian was defeated. Zhang Bilian is also unlucky. Her dancing has always been known for her soothing and graceful dancing, which is pleasing to the eye in ordinary times, but compared here with Xia Yingluo's ethereal and charming appearance, it is simply fatal. Xia Yingluo deliberately danced around her, showing off her beauty 360 degrees without blind spots, and also covering Zhang Bilian 360 degrees without blind spots, allowing her to do several important poses so that few people could see her. Zhang Bilian was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She wanted to argue loudly with Xia Yingluo and ask her why she didn't do what she had rehearsed in advance. But she couldn't. If she asked, she would be disturbing the stage, which would be considered a serious accident, and is not a quality that a qualified artist should have. What about Xia Yingluo? In fact, she was disrupting the stage, but she did it skillfully, keeping in tune with the music melody, and even took care of the dance formation, making the entire formation look as if it had been carefully choreographed, and there was nothing wrong with it. Several group dance trainees were also very angry, but like Zhang Bilian, they did not dare to stop dancing immediately to question Xia Yingluo, so they had to swallow their anger and continue to perform, seeing that the dance was clearly for Zhang Bilian, but it became Xia Yingluo's. Set off. Xia Yingluo flies freely and gracefully, making people dazzled. At the banquet, many guests couldn't help but put down their knives and forks, stopped talking, and focused on watching her dance. Her dancing is extremely beautiful, impeccable from technique to charm. Directors and producers are already asking, who is this girl? Is she a trainee of the emperor? When can she debut and take on projects? Amidst the whispers, Pei Yan and Zhao Yuxuan, who were toasting at the table, suddenly turned ugly. What happened? Didn't everyone at the training camp say that Xia Yingluo was assigned to the group dance in the corner, which was not impressive at all? Why did she jump into such an important position as soon as she got on stage? Lead dancer. Yes, in their opinion, Xia Yingluo is the lead dancer. Zhang Bilian, who was supposed to be the lead dancer, was completely overpowered by her and became the second dancer. Although Zhang Bilian had worked very hard and tried several times to take back the dominance from Xia Yingluo, she was not as good as others and could not succeed. She did not dare to deviate from the established dance postures and do anything out of the ordinary. Because she does not have as strong on-the-spot choreography ability as Xia Yingluo. Once she goes out of the frame, she will be full of flaws. Xia Yingluo, on the other hand, is not only able to improvise dances, but is also very skilled at creating momentum and blocking positions. Who told her she has a good mother? When Xiaoling had nothing to do, she taught her how to move in order to steal the camera quietly. Although she couldn't use it, the mother and daughter were very similar in that they were competitive, so Xia Yingluo learned with great interest. Today's stage is just a small test. Why is she so pushy? Pei Yan was unhappy and asked Zhao Yuxuan in a low voice, "Didn't you say everything has been arranged?" Zhao Yuxuan was also confused. The trainer clearly told her that Xia Yingluo was not the lead dancer. Still dazed, Pei Yan glared at him fiercely and turned to look for his brother Pei Chenju. "Brother," Pei Yan lowered her voice to Pei Chenju, "that's the girl who is leading the dance. You must teach her a lesson." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1194. Chapter 1194 Bai Lian is in good harmony. Don't worry, I've arranged everything. Pei Chenju was dressed in a hand-sewn high-end formal suit, holding a glass of red wine in his hand. He also lowered his voice and spoke to Pei Yan, but his eyes lingered on Xia Yingluo, reluctant to leave. "My sister only said that she was a bitch, but she didn't say that the was so beautiful." Pei Chenju's eyes darkened a bit, and he smiled gloomily, "Don't worry, her lesson will definitely be profound." Pei Yan didn't notice anything unusual about him and said angrily, "I'll make her regret provoking me." Pei Chenju reluctantly looked away from the stage. "Okay, I understand. You go to toast as usual, don't dawdle, and return to the main table early. Didn't you see so many people around the uncle? It's a rare opportunity to talk to him." "Talk, don't waste it." Pei Yan was stunned and hurried away. Pei Chenju also adjusted his clothes and walked towards the main table, intending to propose a toast. In the middle of the main table, accompanied by several emperor executives and business tycoons, a calm and majestic middle-aged man sat upright, with a cold face like a god. He was wearing a finely crafted dark gray suit. His tall figure was as still as a mountain, and his penetrating eyes were fixed on the fairy like the stage, Xia Yingluo, who was dancing gracefully. Some juniors tried to come forward to offer a toast, but he couldn't even pay attention to him from the corner of his eye. Pei Chenju was about to step forward but paused. "Uncle, he has a crush on Xia Yingluo." On the stage, the song by Lian Hao He came to an end. Xia Yingluo made a beautiful arc in mid-air and bowed gracefully and lightly, just like a fairy princess. The audience gave him warm applause. Pei Yan hurried back to the main table and said with a loud smile, "The children in our training camp are really good at dancing. Today is a big day, and the children have worked hard. Let's go back with some small prizes to reward you. Make the distinguished guests here happy." Zhang Bilian, Zuzu, Zhang Qiang and others were overjoyed and quickly saluted and thanked him. Xia Yingluo stood still. She knew that if this woman had any tricks to attack her, this would be the time. Sure enough, someone on the side caught Pei Yan's expression and said, "That girl standing in the middle, that's you. Why don't you bow and thank Miss Pei?" Do you understand the rules? He had a microphone on his lapel, and his voice was very loud. Everyone heard it and looked at it. Xia Yingluo still stood motionless in the midst of all the attention, sneering slightly. Taking a few steps to the side of the stage, she held the host's microphone, and her clear voice spread like water throughout the audience. The first salute is a curtain call etiquette and a rule. The second time is to thank me for the reward of Pei Yan. Sorry, I don't accept it, she is not qualified to reward me. Pei Yan didn't expect her to be so arrogant in front of all the guests, and she was so angry that she was shaking all over. She had planned well and took this opportunity to reward all the trainees except Xia Yingluo. Then Xia Yingluo would definitely be dissatisfied and would make a fuss, so she would pick on the shortcomings in her dancing one by one, criticizing her so much that she lost all face and let out the bad breath in her heart. But who knew that Xia Yingluo was so alert? Not only did he not give her a chance, but he even attacked her. In the banquet hall where everyone is watching, Xia Yingluo stands on the stage, her beautiful eyes are clear and crystal clear, as if she can see through people's hearts. There was a faint mocking arc at the corner of her lips, seeming to be mocking Pei Yan for his overestimation of his abilities. In the middle of the main table, the calm and dignified middle-aged man tapped his fingers slightly. This was a small subconscious action when he felt disturbed. Pei Yan's men reprimanded Xia Yingluo, "Who is Miss Pei? How can I allow you to be disrespectful? Why don't you apologize to her quickly?" Xia Yingluo smiled arrogantly, walked to the projector next to the stage with a microphone, and said, "Get out of the way." The person in charge of playing the projection didn't know what she was going to do, but was intimidated by her momentum and subconsciously got out of the way. Xia Yingluo took out the thin and light mobile phone she kept close to her body. God knows where she had hidden it on her body when she was dancing, and connected it to the projector in a few clicks. Then, an unsightly photo appeared on the big screen in the banquet hall. The naked body of a man and a woman intertwined was exactly the bed photo with Zhao Yuxuan that Pei Yan sent to her not long ago. It's so unbecoming. Screams rang out in the banquet hall, and many female guests turned their heads away, not daring to look any further. The male guests also had different expressions. Their eyes flicked between Pei Yan, Zhao Yuxuan, and Xia Yingluo on the stage, guessing the situation. A beautiful smile bloomed on Xia Yingluo's delicate little face, but it looked like a devil in Pei Yan's eyes. "Pei Yan, you robbed my boyfriend, and you posted such shameless photos to demonstrate to me, and again how can a shameless woman like you reward me by using your identity as Miss Pei to pressure me into dancing to celebrate your engagement party with my ex-boyfriend?" The guests in the hall finally figured out their relationship. It turned out that it was a rumored love triangle. This Pei Yan is really petty. Not only did he steal the boyfriend of a young trainee, but he also forced her to come here to dance. Isn't this deliberately adding salt to her wounds? It's so vicious. For a while, many guests secretly shook their heads at Pei Yan's character. Pei Yan's face turned blue and white. She originally thought that there was pressure from the training camp, and Xia Yingluo had to be bullied, but she didn't expect that she would be so willing and crazy enough to release the indecent photo in front of the public. "Delete the photo," her voice changed. Xia Yingluo still sneered. She saw two staff members walking up and casually threw her phone on the ground without waiting for them to collect it. The projector's light flashed slightly, the big screen went dark, and the large indecent photo that filled the entire wall disappeared without a trace. However, the goal has been achieved. Although the photos are not on the screen, they have been firmly engraved in the hearts of every guest. She had made up her mind before attending the engagement banquet. Since Pei Yan and Zhao Yuxuan wouldn't let her have an easy time, she wouldn't let them have an easy time either, and she would definitely cause an uproar. And this photo is of course the best weapon to make the couple lose their face. At this moment, looking at Pei Yan, whose face turned red and white, and Zhao Yuxuan, who was equally embarrassed and wanted to dig a crack in the ground to get in, Xia Yingluo felt extremely happy. "Do you like the gift I gave you?" Xia Yingluo said. "I haven't congratulated you on your engagement yet, haha." "Throw her out, throw her out," Pei Yan yelled crazily. How could she have any elegance as a bride-to-be? The staff maintaining order at the scene looked at each other. When things got to this point, it was indeed the best choice to throw Xia Yingluo out. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1195. Chapter 1195. The Emperor's chairman arrives. No matter how many dirty secrets there are in a wealthy family, it's not a problem. It's only when they are pierced. But Xia Yingluo just has to be ignorant and be the one who pierces the fig leaf. They walked towards her. A twisted smile bloomed on Pei Yan's face. "Huh, Xia Yingluo, let's see how arrogant you are. I want you to get out of here in more embarrassment than me." Many of the guests present shook their heads and sighed. The stage was a little impulsive, which was a pity. Even if she has been greatly wronged, she should not challenge the Pei family in public. If she offends the Pei family, she has offended almost half of the entertainment industry. As a young trainee who has not yet debuted, her future may be ruined. Xia Yingluo doesn't care. What about half of the entertainment industry? There is still half of it in the hands of Tianyi. She is not afraid that the emperor will expel her or even ban her. It is not that she has no way out. The most important thing is that she does not wrong herself. Thinking like this, she raised her head high. "Don't touch me, I'll go by myself." After saying that, she jumped off the stage lightly, looking like a triumphant returner in the eyes of everyone. The queen raised her head proudly and walked towards the exit. In the midst of the chaos, someone suddenly shouted, "Wait a minute." Xia Yingluo turned around and saw a man at the main table standing up, smiling and saying to her, "The little girl is really angry. Since you are here and you are a guest, why do you have to leave after a few words? How about coming down for a bite to eat and a glass of wine?" When the man spoke, Pei Yan's face looked ugly, but he said nothing. Xia Yingluo asked curiously, "Who are you?" "I am Chu Chan." The man smiled politely. Xia Yingluo suddenly realized, no wonder Pei Yan couldn't get angry no matter how upset he was. It turned out that he was Chu Chan, the first person around the emperor's chairman Pei Xian, and his words were more effective than many of the Pei family members. Then, her beautiful and clear eyes followed Chu Chen to the calm and dignified middle-aged man in the middle of the main table. "Are you Pei Xian?" Everyone gasped. How dare she call the emperor chairman by his first name? How audacious! Contrary to everyone's expectations, Pei Xian was not angry at all, and said to Xia Yingluo pleasantly, "That's me." Xia Yingluo looked at him carefully. Since she was a child, she knew that her father Li Lei had a person whom he particularly disliked. He disliked him so much that they were not allowed to mention this person's name at home, Pei Xian. She also knew that he was her mother Xiaoling's lover in her previous life, and she had always been curious about what kind of man could become the thorn in her mother's side and the thorn in her father's side. At this time, looking at Pei Xian, she nodded and said, "Well, you're good." It is indeed a person worthy of being remembered by her mother for 2 lifetimes, but of course he is not as good as her father. Her father Li Lei is the best. Everyone around him is going crazy. How can he, just a young trainee, dare to judge Chairman Pei in such an arrogant tone? Everyone secretly looked at Pei Xian's face, feeling that this little girl was going to be in bad luck and would be cut into pieces in the next moment. But Pei Xian still looked kind and said, "Sit next to me." One sentence is shocking again. What kind of medicine did Director Pei take wrong today? Even the protagonists of today's engagement party, Pei Yan and Zhao Yuxuan, did not have the honor of sitting next to him. The little girl just tilted her head slightly. "What are you doing?" She stood gracefully in the crowd, her innocent look endearing. Many celebrities and dignitaries wanted to say to her, "Go if you are told." How can Mr. Pei tolerate others' disobedience, but they did not dare. Pei Zion has accumulated prestige over the years, and everyone knows that this big boss doesn't like others to interrupt when he is talking. That is a taboo. Even Chu Chen was quiet. Pei Zion looked at her and said in a warm voice, like a spring breeze, "I want to invite you to dinner, do you want to eat?" Xia Yingluo was really hungry after what he said. She looked at the delicacies on the table and felt that she had been tricked here by Pei Yan with ill intentions. She was not paid and had nothing to gain. She only got a piece of cake. It was not cost-effective to go back because I was angry, so I walked over and said, "Okay." Pei Zion smiled slightly. Chu Chen on the side had already given up her seat very eloquently, and asked the waiter to remove the bowls and chopsticks and replace them with new ones. Everyone was sweating again when they saw it. "Little girl, you just sat in Mr. Chu's position so carelessly. Do you know who he is? His weight in the emperor is second only to Pei Dong, and one word can determine your life or death." But the little girl Xia Yingluo didn't seem to notice anything. She sat down very naturally and picked up the bowl and chopsticks. Tired from dancing and having a fight with Pei Yan, she drank 2 bowls of bird's nest soup without any ceremony, and ordered many precious sprout tips and truffles to eat. Pei Zion didn't move his chopsticks very much and watched her eat like crazy. "Don't your parents give you anything to eat at home?" She turned her head and glanced at him warily, then smiled naturally, "I am a poor student. How can I afford such expensive food? Otherwise, how could Miss Pei Yan bully me? It's not just watching, there is no way for me to cry." Pei Yan, who was on the other side of the main table, was heartbroken for a while, and was so angry that he almost slapped the table. Xia Yingluo smiled lightly and glanced at her provocatively. Pei Yan managed to hold back this tone. Just now, Pei Zion made it clear that he was trying to keep the guests away, which was a slap in her face. She didn't know what she did wrong to make this uncle unhappy. "But I understand very well that now, for the sake of my uncle, I can only tolerate this little bitch, otherwise I will be seeking death." Xia Yingluo ate a very nutritious meal. While eating, she made comments, "The white tea bud tips of yours are not fried well. They are old and taste like grass roots. The bird's nest soup is also a bit woody and has not enough texture. That carp soup over there? It's simply the most disgusting carp I've ever tasted. Miss Pei Yan, it's so rare for you to have such a dish." In front of a table full of guests, Pei Yan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. In fact, what is not delicious about these dishes? The chefs invited are all famous chefs who are used to cooking banquets for wealthy families. From the raw materials to the cooking, they are all top-notch. Only a picky little like Xia Yingluo can find so many faults. "What nonsense are you talking about?" she couldn't help it. "Don't talk nonsense if you haven't eaten good food." As soon as he finished speaking, Pei Zion said to Xia Yingluo dotingly, "It's really not very delicious. I feel sorry for you." Pei Yan's next series of curses felt like someone was strangling him in the neck, and he couldn't utter a single word. The expressions on the faces of the guests at the table were also very exciting. They could say that this little girl had never eaten good food and had no knowledge. How dare they say that Pei Zion had no knowledge either? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 1196. Chapter 1196. The Favored Little Girl. Dongpei has made it clear that he is supporting this little girl. Just indulge her, what's wrong? Everyone present here was a human spirit, and they all bowed their heads and became silent. There were also those who were bold enough to take advantage of the situation and smiled at Xia Yingluo and said, "The food here doesn't taste good. Why don't you go to the golf club owned by my family another day? The chefs there are very unique and the dishes they cook are not easily available outside. Mr. Pei, why don't you come with me? I heard that you are an excellent golfer. How about giving us some time to give us some advice?" The person who said this must have seen it. Pei Zion made it clear that he was special about this little girl, and maybe he had a crush on her. It's better to be a smart matchmaker, and the most important thing is to have a close relationship with Pei Dong. Many people also reacted, secretly hating the one who invited the two of them to the golf club for taking the initiative. Xia Yingluo was busy eating without raising her head. "I won't go." The other party didn't expect her to be so disrespectful, and his face changed slightly. Others were also shocked. Is this little girl stupid? Now that Pei Zion has fallen in love with her, she doesn't know how to create more opportunities to get close to Pei Zion. If she gets close to this golden thigh, she will have nothing to worry about for the rest of her life. But she was good. Not only did she push the golden thigh outward, she also offended the boss of the golf club. This is really. It's really. I don't know how high the sky is and how high it is. The group of people were slandering happily, and then they saw Pei Zion personally serving her a dish, and his voice was still very warm. "Is your name Xia Yingluo?" Yes, she used her chopsticks to poke at the vegetables he had handed over. "I don't want goosefoot, it's not delicious." Pei Zion was not angry at all. "Where are the clams and steamed eggs?" Okay, she took a big mouthful of the steamed egg he handed over without any courtesy, and she didn't feel at all aware that the emperor was serving her tea and water. The guests at the table all felt like they were dreaming. I heard that Director Pei was lawless when he doted on Xiaoling when he was young, but with the death of the legendary queen, he has never indulged and doted on any girl like this again. So much so that many juniors in the business world feel that the past events about his doting on Xiaoling are just legends that have been beautified and processed over time and the queen's death. But now, seeing with their own eyes how he treated Xia Yingluo, everyone was confused. It turns out that he can really be so kind to girls. What kind of virtues and abilities does the Xia Yingluo have? How does she suit the chairman's eyes? Pei Zion asked her slowly, "What do your parents do and who are the other people in your family?" Xia Yingluo made nonsense based on the fake information prepared for her at home. After eating, she felt that the man in front of her was not easy to deal with, so she said, "I have to leave, and I have to go back to the camp to practice." "Uncle Pei, thank you." Of rice. The table is full of guests and there is another black line. "Pei, uncle." Little girl, for a humble trainee like you, what qualifications do you have to call someone uncle? You should just call him chairman in a proper manner. What's more, even if you want to make relatives, you can't call him uncle. It's obvious that he likes you and wants to flirt with you. Is it really okay for you to call him so old? Pei Zion's eyes darkened slightly and he said slowly, "Today is a day off for the training camp. You stay here and have fun." Xia Yingluo was not sure what he meant. Could it be that he really liked her? The look in his eyes didn't feel like it. It wasn't the way a man looked at a woman, but rather like an elder looking at a junior he hadn't seen for a long time. "Haven't your identity been exposed?" She glanced at Pei Zion suspiciously, hesitated for a moment, then nodded and agreed to stay. It would be best if the identity is not exposed. If it is, I don't know whether Pei Zion will take care of her for his mother's sake, or give her a hard time for his father's sake. But it's not a good thing in any case. If Pei Zion takes care of her because of her status as Xiaoling's daughter, her trial will be considered a cheating failure. It would be very troublesome for Pei Zion to embarrass her. He is a difficult person on the same level as his father Li Lei. Xia Yingluo's heart was spinning 1,000 times, and she felt that she had to find a chance to explore Pei Zion's background. Staying at the banquet is the best choice. If Pei Zion doesn't find her, it probably means everything will be fine. If she finds her, she can further observe whether he is attracted to her or has discovered her identity and reacted, so that she can respond in time. The meal was dispersed among everyone's thoughts. Xia Yingluo wandered in the garden to eat out of boredom. The teacher from the training camp, Zhang Bilian, and others hurried over and found her looking leisurely, but her expression was not very good. The teacher said, "Xia Yingluo, do you know that you almost got into a big trouble today? Why didn't you follow the rules when you were dancing, and you gave Pei Yan so much embarrassment in public? It's really unreasonable." Xia Yingluo had known for a long time that she would be questioned, so she responded lazily and ignored, "Things have happened, and you won't turn back time even if you lecture me to death." "Teacher, please save your energy," she said, still covering her mouth. I yawned slightly, I was so full from lunch. She looked like that and the teacher was very angry. "Do you really think the training camp won't dare to expel you?" Whatever, she was really full, so she took a glass of fruit vinegar from the passing waiter's tray to eat. The veins on the teacher's forehead were throbbing, and Zhang Bilian and others looked particularly bad. They all came in as staff and were not eligible to enjoy the various food and drinks at the banquet. Even lunch was eaten in the crowded work area after they got off the stage and ate a takeaway lunch box. "How does it look like, Xia Yingluo? I was personally invited by the emperor's big boss Pei Zion to go to the main table and eat so many good things." When he thought of Pei Zion, the teacher's reason came back. "Pei Dong likes her so much, maybe this girl will really become rich. It's not appropriate for me to train her like before." So, the teacher took a deep breath and changed his face to a pleasant one. "I will take Zhang Bilian and the others back right now. Since Director Pei is keeping you, you can play well here. Will there be any training camp issues tonight? Give me the news, I feel relieved." Xia Yingluo frowned slightly. "What do you mean by not being able to return to the training camp at night? Who did they think she was?" So he said with a smile on his face, "Don't worry about it, teacher, I have a sense of propriety." Turn away, and walked away. The teacher, who looked embarrassed, was left behind, as well as Zhang Bilian and others who looked down on her and were jealous. "Huh, why are you so proud?" Zuzu, who was beside Zhang Bilian, said angrily. Dong Pei just looked at her pity and rewarded her with a bowl of rice, and look at how she behaved. I'm afraid that when he got off the table, Dong Pei would forgot who she is. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1197. Chapter 1197. It's really hard work. Zhang Bilian bit her lip and said nothing. She originally expected the training camp to seek justice for her for being robbed of being the lead dancer, but looking at this situation, it would be great if Xia Yingluo didn't take off in the future and ride on her head. Although she was jealous of Xia Yingluo, she also knew how to assess the situation and understood that it is never too late for a gentleman to take revenge, so she said to Zuzu, "Let's go and talk about it when we get back." Zuzu flattered her, "Our sister Bilian is still knowledgeable and sensible." Zhang Bilian smiled reluctantly. One of her carefully choreographed dances was ruined by Xia Yingluo. No celebrity or dignitary present paid attention to her, let alone inquired about her news or talked to her. How could she be willing to enter Basehan and return empty-handed? However, what can you do if you don't want to give in? You can't just rush forward and pounce on a dignitary and just beg him to give you a chance without hesitation. I can only lie dormant and wait for the next time. But who knows how long it will take to have such a good opportunity again. Zhang Bilian's heart felt like it was being fried in a frying pan, and she was so unwilling that she put the debt on Xia Yingluo's head. If Xia Yingluo hadn't stolen the spotlight from her leading the dance, it should be her, Zhang Bilian, that Dong Pei is interested in. Midsummer. The garden is lined with green trees and fragrant flowers. Xia Yingluo curled up on an old wicker chair and played with the cat, thinking about something while playing with it. Pei Xian hasn't come to see her until now, and maybe he won't come. Then, everything that happened at the lunch table was just an accident. Her identity was not exposed, and he didn't really like her, which is good. Moreover, with his favor for her during the dinner, I am afraid that the training camp will not dare to drop her out easily in the future. Who knows when Boss Pei will think of her as a person and want to see her by name. Are all things that are uncertain. This also means that she can live a comfortable life for a while, and she doesn't have to worry about being kicked out no matter how noisy she gets. Otherwise, although she could still sneak into the Tianyi training camp after being expelled from school, it would still be troublesome to change back and forth. Xia Yingluo was in a good mood. She saw a waiter holding a tray not far away, so she waved to him, "Come here." The waiter came over and placed a variety of snacks, drinks, and fruit vinegar on the tray. Xia Yingluo happily picked a piece of mint cake and curled up in the old wicker chair to enjoy it comfortably. The sun is warm. Ivy covers the glass wall, making it very secluded. Xia Yingluo lazily basked in the sun for a while, fell asleep, and gradually felt something was wrong with her body. A numbing feeling came from a hidden place, like an electric current, quickly spread throughout her body. It makes people tremble. She gasped, and her body that had experienced human affairs suddenly realized what was going on, and her eyes widened in shock and anger. There is something wrong with the piece of cake she just ate. A large amount of aphrodisiacs were added to it, which made it difficult for her to even walk. Her heart was ringing with alarms. She didn't know who was going to deal with her like this, but she knew that the other party must have a powerful backup move, so she managed to support her body and stumbled towards the door. "Leave here. As long as you leave here, you'll be fine." She held her breath and walked up and down. However, before she had gone far, several waiters suddenly rushed out from the side and held her back. "Miss Xia, what's wrong with you? Let's help you go and rest in the guest room." Without further explanation, he half supported and half dragged her deeper into the building. Xia Yingluo wanted to struggle, but was shocked to find that she couldn't. The aphrodisiac she had taken probably contained other ingredients, which made her hands and feet extremely weak, and her self-defense skills could not be used at all. These people really paid attention to her. She used all her strength to fall back, refusing to follow them. "Who sent you? Where are you taking me?" One of the waiters said politely, "Ms. Xia, we don't understand what you are talking about. You are not feeling well. It is only natural that we help you to rest. This is a banquet venue. If something happens to you, we will be responsible. So of course I have to take care of you." Xia Yingluo struggled to say, I don't need you to take care of me. Let me go, or take me to the hospital." "Ms. Xia, let's go to the guest room and take a rest first," several waiters said as they dragged her into a dark and quiet room and slammed the door. "We will find a doctor for you. There is a stale, musty smell in the air." The curtains were tightly drawn, it was dark, and you couldn't see your fingers. Xia Yingluo knew that she must be plotting against someone, but she didn't know whether the person who plotted against her was Pei Yan or Zhao Yuxuan. Her long-standing instinct to deal with danger caused her to slow down her breathing immediately and bite her lips tightly to prevent any sound from leaking out. He crawled back a few steps on his hands and knees, carefully hiding himself in the darkness. The gentle movement almost exhausted all her strength. The heat inside her body became more intense, sweeping over her in waves, causing beads of sweat to form on her forehead. She bit her lip and felt the smell of blood. Deep in the room, I remembered the sound of heavy footsteps, and then a man's lewd laughter. "Little beauty, you are finally here? Come on, let your brothers have fun." Followed by the laughter of several other men. Xia Yingluo's expression changed. The person who framed her was so vicious that he threw her into a pile of men. You can imagine what the consequences would be if they succeeded. They might even make a video of her or something, causing her physical and mental damage and her reputation to be ruined. She didn't even dare to make a sound. She clenched her cell phone tightly with her white teeth, and blood seeped out. She was dizzy, barely able to stay awake with the pain in her fingers, having trouble breathing, and feeling like she might faint at any time. Chaotic footsteps rushed towards the place where she was thrown in before, and then there were curses. The little is playing tricks with us. Where are the people? Then there was the sound of tables and chairs being overturned. It was obvious that those people were angry. Very big and looking for her everywhere. Xia Yingluo took advantage of the noise and carefully moved towards the door. The room was too dark and she couldn't see anything. Fortunately, her memory and sense of direction were pretty good, so she found the door in a short time. She was just overjoyed when she heard a man say, "Damn it, it's so dark. Fourth brother, go turn on the light and see where that little girl hides." Then there was the sound of tables and chairs knocking over again, as if it was the man called Lao Si who touched him with a curse. Xia Yingluo estimated that there were at least 5 or 6 men in the room, and hearing the noise, they were all very strong. If she had been in good health, it might not have been a problem to knock them down alone, but now that she was under the spell, she couldn't even stand firm, and there was no way she could fight with them. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1198. Chapter 1198. Wei Lingnan under the windowsill. Let alone 5 or 6, even if they were face to face, she might not be able to beat one of them. Can't let them turn on the lights? As soon as the light is turned on, she will be exposed, and she will have no choice but to surrender. Xia Yingluo touched the door handle as quickly as possible, but before she could touch it, the fourth child had already touched it while making a sound. She shrank back and tried to keep her eyes wide open. After adapting to the darkness, she could vaguely see a tall and strong figure very close. She kicked it away based on her feeling and luck. She was lucky, just heard the man clutched his crotch and screamed, then fell to the ground and rolled over. Fourth, what's wrong? Several other men shouted. Stinky, stinky girl plotted against me, Lao Si screamed. Xia Yingluo took advantage of the short gap to touch from one side of the door to the other, and finally touched the door handle. She twisted it hard but it didn't move. It must have been locked from the outside. She screamed inwardly and heard many chaotic footsteps coming in this direction. She didn't want to stay for long, so she quickly ducked back into the darkness. Fourth brother, are you okay? Where's the stinky girl? There were noisy voices. Ouch, that stinky girl almost kicked my lifeblood off, Lao Si cursed. Hurry up and find her, I'm going to beat her muscles, skin her. Rape her corpse, let her know that grandpa, I am not someone to be bullied. Where can I find this dark thing? Someone complained, I'll go and turn it on first. Ouch. Another person who was about to turn on the light tripped over something protruding from the thorn and fell heavily to the ground. Chewing mud. That stinky girl is over there, someone shouted. Several burly men rushed towards the direction where the man tripped. Xia Yingluo had already quietly left her position and walked around behind them. Picking up a few unknown bits and pieces, Xia Yingluo threw them in various places. While the men were making a mess, she quietly reached the window and hid behind the curtain. Thick blackout curtains blocked all the light in the house, but the sunshine outside the window was just right, and the midsummer afternoon was bright. The sudden sunlight was a bit dazzling. Xia Yingluo endured her physical discomfort and squinted her eyes to open the window. After brushing the floor, it actually opened. The breeze and the fragrance of flowers came in all at once. She took a deep breath, and her dizziness eased. In the room, several men finally turned on the lights and looked around, but could not find Xia Yingluo. Where did the smelly girl go? someone roared. It must be in the room, can't escape, find it. Several men started looking for it, and soon noticed something strange by the window. As soon as they opened the curtains, they saw a petite girl standing on the windowsill with one foot, half of her body sticking out, and the sun was shining on her. A layer of light gold, as beautiful as a fairy. The goods the boss found for us this time are pretty good, someone drooled. They stared at the windowsill with their eyes wide open. Xia Yingluo was worried. There were more of them than she thought, 7 in total. And she is now on the second floor windowsill. Don't underestimate the second floor of such a high-end building. High jump is much more luxurious than ordinary buildings. The position where she is standing is almost the third floor of an ordinary building from the ground. Although there is lawn underground, if she jumps desperately, she will easily break her legs. Once she breaks her leg, she will have no choice but to be dragged back and left at the mercy of others. Xia Yingluo's face turned slightly pale, and she was sweating even more violently. There was a cliff in front of her, and there were pursuers behind her. What should she do? Little beauty, he. The men saw something wrong with her face and thought she was scared, so they became more confident and said, "Come down and obey your brothers. Don't be brave. I see your hands and feet are trembling. Your brothers will take good care of you, ha 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 ha." You, why are you here? Xia Yingluo was thinking about a way to escape while stalling for time with them. Who sent you to harm me? Don't you know this? What's the point of offending someone? A good ending, he, little beauty, just accept it. Brothers are so professional, how could they tell you the name of the mastermind behind the scenes? If you want to blame it, you have to blame yourself for your bad luck. They said, getting closer and closer to the window. Xia Yingluo was anxious. Could she just jump down? But if you break your leg, you are really asking for death. Calling the sky should not call the earth, and the earth not working. While I was feeling anxious, I suddenly saw a man walking out of the shade of the trees downstairs. He was wearing a finely crafted light white shirt, and his profile was as beautiful as a sculpture of ice and snow in the sunlight. He raised his head and looked at her in embarrassment on the windowsill. Wei Lingnan, she almost saw the savior and wanted to call him loudly, but the sound she made was weak. He seemed to hear her, smiled indifferently, and opened his hands to her. Jump down. His voice was not high, but it seemed to echo in her ears. I'll catch you. Do you think you are a Superman? Xia Yingluo felt so uncomfortable that she could hardly hold onto the window frame, but she still did not forget to taunt him. If I smash it like this, your arm will break, and you will be broken together with me. Wei Lingnan didn't know whether he heard her voice or not, but he still maintained his original posture. In the room, the men were getting closer and closer, and their wretched and lustful faces were about to get in front of her. Her body felt weak and there were bursts of heat. She knew that she could not continue like this and could no longer hesitate. Gritting her teeth, she jumped out of the windowsill, but she did not aim in the direction of Wei Lingnan, but chose the other side. Even if her arms and legs were to be amputated, she didn't want to drag him along with them. After she closed her eyes, she prepared to bear the severe pain of fracture. However, the pain she imagined did not come, and she actually fell into a solid and warm embrace. Looking up, Wei Lingnan's indifferent and handsome face was right in front of him. She was stunned. Didn't she jump to the other side? Wei Lingnan seemed to know what she was thinking, and said in a light voice, "Why, are you so unwilling to let me catch you?" No, she said a little incoherently, and became angry again. You are stupid. What if you are killed by me? I don't want to collect your body. How about, are you okay? Wei Lingnan said, you think I have something wrong? He seemed to be in a good mood. So you care about me? Xia Yingluo's face turned red and she turned her head aside. Who cares about you anymore? I'm just worried that if you are smashed to death by me, no, Even if you are only seriously injured, what will happen to those filthy men, how to escape after being chased? That's why she was so concerned about whether he was intact. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1199. Chapter 1199 Rescued. Wei Lingnan's eyes lowered, hiding his expression. Xia Yingluo was in his arms, her delicate cheeks looked as beautiful as a fairy in the sun, and her watery eyes met his without warning. She could clearly see his eyes, which were as amber as the monster in the dream, cold and smooth, like the surface of a mysterious and tranquil lake. She flinched slightly. Afraid, his voice was a little hoarse. She was in a trance, as if the monster dormant in the fog was talking to her. She closed her eyes to get rid of this ridiculous thought, and said with difficulty, "Let me go." He looked at her quietly. Unexpectedly, I remembered what she said that time on the back mountain, "The strong melon is not sweet," and slowly left her. The erratic heartbeat has calmed down a bit. Wei Lingnan took out a small bottle from his pocket and handed it to her. "Drink it." In the bottle are a few drops of translucent liquid, which glows with a strange sheen in the sunlight. "What is this?" she asked. "Intestinal poison," he smiled evilly. "Xia Yingluo. I won't send you to the hospital," he said calmly. "Whether you drink this medicine or not is up to you." "So, it's actually the antidote, right?" Xia Yingluo was silent, thinking about it with her remaining rationality, and felt that if Wei Lingnan wanted to harm her, it probably wouldn't be that troublesome. All he had to do was stretch out his fingers and pinch her, and it would be as easy as killing a small ant, so, in fact, it was really is the antidote. She opened the small bottle and drank it. Wei Lingnan watched her drink every drop of the liquid in the bottle. Soon, her abnormally hot body temperature dropped. Her red face slowly returned to a translucent white, her breathing was steady, and she looked like that elf again. "Xia Yingluo is gone." Xia Yingluo then raised her face and said to Wei Lingnan, "Thank you." He was very tall, and even when she raised her face, it only reached his chin. The thin sunlight shone on her face through the treetops, making his heart suddenly feel a little softer. "Is that all you need to say thank you, on the surface?" he asked with a raised eyebrow. Xia Yingluo is unhappy. "Why is this person so pushy?" Turning her head, she said arrogantly, "Then what else do you want? You have done so many crazy things before, and I haven't even settled the accounts with you yet." She looked so cute when she lost her temper, like a vengeful bird. "Little kitten." Wei Lingnan couldn't help but bully her. "You are welcome to come to me to settle accounts at any time. I have slept with you twice, and you can sleep back at any time, with interest, no limit to the number of times, and I will stay with you until the end." Her face suddenly turned red and she glared at him bitterly. He sighed and said, "Anyway, I won't treat you badly." Xia Yingluo said coldly, "It's impossible for you and me, not from the beginning." Wei Lingnan, stop having illusions and resolve the rejection issue as soon as possible. Let's go our separate ways. That sentence, "it was impossible from the beginning," made his eyes darken. She was vaguely scared, but still mustered up the courage to stare at him. During the confrontation, a group of people walked over not far away, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was Pei Yan. She was now wearing a lotus-colored pearl gauze dress. Her hair was high and she looked elegant. She was holding a man's arm. It was Zhao Yuxuan. There was another man, Xia Yingluo, whom she didn't recognize, but thought his features were somewhat similar to Pei Yan. He was wearing a finely crafted suit and looked well dressed. Seeing them, Pei Yan was the first to speak. "Xia Yingluo, why are you here?" Then she looked at Wei Lingnan in surprise. I recognize you. Aren't you the one who won Xia Yingluo in the casino that day? Why are you here? I don't remember inviting you to my engagement party. Wei Lingnan was deeply impressed. Anyone would be deeply impressed by the person who caused him to lose all his money and kicked him out in front of everyone. Wei Lingnan looked at her and smiled meaningfully. Pei Yan was so heartbroken by his smile that he couldn't help but shrank behind Zhao Yuxuan. For some reason, this man squinted his eyes and looked at people like a mysterious murderer targeting his prey, which made people feel chilling. Zhao Yuxuan noticed his fiancée's uneasiness and frowned at them. Yingluo, you disappoint me so much. Even if I don't want you, you can't give up on yourself like this and don't know how to love yourself. Look at how you look now. At this time, Xia Yingluo was disheveled and her hair was messy. She was held in Wei Lingnan's arms and looked extremely ambiguous. Hearing this, she sneered, this Zhao Yuxuan really knew how to put money on her face. Why did she give up on herself because he didn't want her anymore? This shameless scumbag has a limit to his narcissism. I'm sorry, Mr. Zhao, I'm very well. Xia Yingluo's tone was cold and distant. There is nothing else in our Lingnan family. It's just that you have a little more money than Mr. Zhao, you are a little more handsome, and you have physical strength. A little stronger, a little more gentle and considerate to women. Of course, the last one was broken by her. At the last moment, she wanted to tear Wei Lingnan into pieces. However, now that my ex is extremely jealous of seeing each other, he naturally wants to praise the person next to him to the sky. Hearing the words our family is Lingnan, Wei Lingnan narrowed his eyes slightly, and a satisfied smile flashed deep in his eyes. Zhao Yuxuan's expression changed. He didn't expect Xia Yingluo to be so sharp-tongued and slapped him in the face. In my memory, the girl who first entered the training camp was so innocent, with a light smile and clear eyes. When did she become so vicious? End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1200. Chapter 1200 Wei Lingnan's Return. Yingluo, you have changed. Zhao Yuxuan said sadly. Xia Yingluo sneered. It wasn't that she had changed, but that he had never seen her clearly. She was so good to him at that time, lest any of her shortcomings be exposed in front of him. Just like every girl who is passionately in love, she can't wait to hold all her good things in front of the beloved man. She smiled at him and spoke the most romantic love words in the world in a light tone. She did not do anything unladylike in front of him, nor did she show any trace of vulgarity. Perhaps this gave him an illusion? Zhao Yuxuan, what are you missing? Xia Yingluo smiled maliciously. Why do you sound so regretful? Is it because after getting engaged to Miss Pei, you found that she didn't have me? Ha ha. She covered her mouth and chuckled, but Zhao Yuxuan panicked. He turned his head and saw Pei Yan's face as dark as the bottom of a pot. He quickly said, of course Yan Yan is the best, how can you compare? However, no one listened. You can see how feeble his words are. Pei Yan felt resentful in her heart. She had always known that Zhao Yuxuan still liked Xia Yingluo in her heart, but it was just because of her financial status and the reputation of the daughter of the famous daughter of the Pei family that she had to abandon Xia Yingluo and pursue herself. But who said she just likes him? From the first moment I met him, I was captivated by his graceful demeanor, gentleness, and thoughtfulness. From then on, I fell in love with him and couldn't extricate myself. The only thing she could do was to tie him tightly and drive that little Xia Yingluo out of his life. I am naturally the best, that's why Yuxuan chose me. Pei Yan looked at Xia Yingluo arrogantly. Xia Yingluo feels bored. Who wants to compete with her? She was blind before she fell in love with Zhao Yuxuan, and she would also like to thank Pei Yan for sending her the bed photo in time, so that she could find her way back and retreat as soon as possible. Let's go. She didn't want to pay attention to them anymore, turned to Wei Lingnan and said. Wait a minute, the silent man beside Pei Yan suddenly said, where is our Pei family? You can come and leave whenever you want? Why don't you two explain why you appear in the guest room? Don't you know that no one is allowed to enter here? Wei Lingnan held Xia Yingluo with one hand and looked at him with slightly squinted eyes. The man was so scared when he looked at him. Why in the world could someone look so scary? After a moment, Wei Lingnan's deep voice sounded, who gave you the courage to speak to me like this? A simple sentence, but it seems to contain infinite pressure, making people feel a chill rising from their backs. The scalp of the man who was staring at him was about to explode, and he said with an inward look, who gave you the courage to speak to the Pei family like this? Haven't you heard of my reputation, Pei Chenju? Whoever offends me will be punished 10 times return it. So you are Pei Chenju? Wei Lingnan suddenly smiled. The man was Pei Yan's brother Pei Chenju, one of the heir candidates identified by Pei Ziyan. At this time, Wei Lingnan laughed so hard that his heart went crazy and asked him coldly, why are you laughing? I laughed at you for not knowing that a disaster was coming. Wei Lingnan said slowly, I heard that you are a candidate for heir? So, didn't Pei Ziyan tell you my identity? It seems, your status in his heart is not very good. One sentence exploded in Pei Chenju's heart like a thunderbolt from the blue. Who is the man in front of me, and why did he say such a thing? Could it be that he was a distinguished guest personally invited by his uncle Pei Ziyan, and his identity was so important that non-core personnel were not allowed to know about it? Countless thoughts were running through Pei Chenju's mind, and he looked at Wei Lingnan in surprise. Xia Yingluo also looked at Wei Lingnan with a little doubt. She had never asked him about his identity until now, but now she was really curious. Who are you? She tugged on his sleeve. He touched her hair smoothly, as if he were comforting an impatient kitten. He did not answer the question, but said quietly to Pei Chenju, aren't you afraid that Pei Ziyan will know what you did to Yingluo? Just now he was very fond of Yingluo at the banquet, and in just a blink of an eye, you found so many dirty people to try to her, and you deliberately tried to make things difficult for him. Pei Chenju was so frightened that he said, I don't understand what you are talking about. No, you understand. Wei Lingnan smiled, and guess who Pei Ziyan will believe in this matter? Pei Chenju really shed a cold sweat this time. The authenticity of Wei Lingnan's words was elusive. He was indeed the one who drugged Xia Yingluo, and he was also the one who found someone to bully her. These things were all planned before the engagement party, and the part where Pei Yan embarrassed Xia Yingluo on the stage was just a cover to numb people. The purpose was to make her relax her vigilance and think that the Pei family's revenge against her would only end there. In fact, the next scene is the highlight. 7 strong men can save her from death and save half of her life. They even prepared surveillance cameras. They just wait for a few men to restrain her and turn on the lights. Take photos of her humiliated appearance. Pei Chenju also hesitated whether to cancel the plan. It was definitely not because of any conscience, but because of the episode about Pei Ziyan at the banquet table. Dare to touch the person your uncle likes? Is he crazy? Pei Chenju felt a little uneasy and sent someone to test his uncle's tone to see if he should faint the little girl and send her to his uncle's bed. However, Pei Ziyan just refused to comment and left as originally planned without even staying much after the lunch. He looked so leisurely and at ease, as if he had never met a person named Xia Yingluo at a banquet. Pei Chenju boldly guessed that maybe what happened before was just a whim of the uncle, and the little girl may not be that important. After thinking about it, Pei Chenju decided to take the risk and execute the original plan. On the one hand, he wanted to say the same thing for himself and his sister. On the other hand, what if Pei Ziyan thought of her one day and took her as his pillow? With this stinky girl and Pei Yan's feud, who knows what words she will say that are not conducive to them. She must not be given such a chance. Then, the best way is to make Pei Ziyan never look down on her. As heirs of the Pei family, especially candidates for heir, it is essential for them to study Pei Xian's temperament and preferences. Pei Chenja knows very well how abstinent his uncle is. Even if he has touched a few women over the years, they are definitely not many, and all of them are clean and have no messy sexual history. If Xia Yingluo is raped, I guess my uncle will never look down on her again, right? Then she will never have the chance to speak ill of their brother and sister on her uncle's pillow. Even to be on the safe side, Pei Chenju made some changes to the plan. He replaced 2 healthy men and put 2 men infected with internal diseases into the 7-man group. As long as Xia Yingluo was touched, she would be in trouble everywhere in her life. Go to the shady little clinic and seek treatment. End of this chapter.